Awesome.
LCS Challengers League is back. Hello and welcome everyone to week one, day one of the summer split. I know it's been a tumultuous offseason, I'm not going to lie, but we are not going anywhere. There's still more stories to tell in North American developmental. Now allow me to introduce the desk. My name is Eric Desirux Beltran. I'll be on flex duty today. Joining me, the brains of the broadcast, Matthew Cubby Samuelson, and of course a wholesome smile with a booming voice in Lennon Mazel White. In fact, let's put that voice to work, Mazel. How excited are you to be back, baby?
We got League of Legends back in NA. We have developmental league. We have great stories to tell, and better yet, we have great teams on the docket. So I'm just excited to be back, man. That's all
Cubby?
I can say.
Cubby, how was the offseason for you?
It was nice. I gotta say, deep breath. I found my way onto Twitch somehow, which is great. But you know what? Day one of any league, if you're a sports fan, day one, especially as a Chicago sports fan, usually the day you have hope. Everyone has a clean slate.
The only
to start
day.
Things out. And hey, I just want to see what our teams are able to do on the Rift, and honestly, how some of our squads look in summer.
Yeah. It's been a very, very bumpy time during the offseason. We tried our own ways to cope. I played a lot of guitar. Mazel, I know you were busy with Warhammer shenanigans.
I played with a lot of plastic action figures that are about this tall. There's some bigger ones too. No, but I had a lot of fun. It's a strategic game. Gotta take a little bit of time off as a caster before we get back to League of Legends. But, recently with the new season, I've been grinding a lot of League actually for the first time in a while. So it's a good time. It's a good time. I get my physical action figures. I get my digital gameplay.
You've been doing ranked?
Not yet, my friend.
Not yet.
It's coming. It's coming. All right. They just nerfed U-moves for Jhin, so I don't.
It's coming.
Prospect's not looking great.
As mentioned earlier, the offseason was quite bumpy, but we are resilient here in Challengers League, and so we've made some changes to keep running like the well-oiled machine that we are. So let's get acquainted with the league. Mazel has made us a video to break down the format, so let's take a look.
Welcome to the summer split of the LCS Challengers League. If you hadn't noticed, there's a few changes from spring. First off, welcome to the new faces joining us in the league, even if we can't see all of them. This summer, we'll feature 10 teams competing in a double round robin of best of 2 matches in a 6-week regular season. The top 8 teams advance to the NACL playoffs, which will feature a double elimination bracket with a mix of best of 3 and best of 5 matches, which concludes with a live finals at Riot Games Arena in Los Angeles. Running concurrent to the Challengers League regular season are 2 qualifier tournaments. After playoffs, the bottom 2 teams from the Challengers League will compete against the top 4 teams from the qualifiers in a promotion tournament, battling it out in a double elimination bracket for a chance to qualify for the NACL in 2024. All LCS Challengers League games and coverage will be available on twitch.tv/LCS_challengers and twitch.tv/path to LCS. Catch the regular season games every Saturday, Sunday, and Monday starting at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific, where your subs and Twitch Primes will directly support the teams and players. Another split of Challengers League begins, and we can't wait to see you there.
And Mazel, I love the energy. Feels like you're about ready to burst with hype. You felt really contained in that video.
Commercial. But hey, we're trying to sell some great stories and some great players, so I'm here for it.
Most definitely. Let's take a look at the teams that will be participating in this season's LCS Challengers League. As we said, the season will feature 10 teams, said in the video. Returning challenger teams, FlyQuest, Team Liquid, and Evil Geniuses. Last season's provisionals, Fear, Wildcard, and AoE will be hitting the Rift. We got some newcomers, though. Supernova and our first collegiate squad, Maryville University, with late additions, Team Fish Taco, and Unique Ad right here in our content creator team, Disguised. Amazing stuff. Our first collegiate squad, our first content creator squad. 2 really big firsts here in LCS Challengers League, Cubby.
I know that talking with Golden Glue as well, we're going to have them in our second match, but he was really excited because he called himself like the Swiss Army knife, in the fact that he's kind of a GM and a coach, but said that Disguised and Toast behind the scenes has been very supportive of making sure that the culture is right. And honestly, Golden Glue is like, I have all the tools at my disposal to try and be successful. And a lot of high hopes for that team, given that they are returning with 3 of the defending champions from that Cloud9 Challenger squad we had in spring.
And I think on the other side, if you don't mind, Maryville University, a little bit of bias in my end, but especially coming off the CLOL trek that they had, I'm excited to see what they bring to the table, what they've learned coming into a developmental league, coming into a split that will be grueling, that will be a bit of a gauntlet. But I'm also excited to see some of our returning teams. I know we're talking a lot about the new teams on the block, but I am happy to see that FlyQuest, Team Liquid, and EG are still here as our challenger teams, and that we have a plethora of great challengers challenging LCS.
And I got to say, 2 that I'm pretty excited for. One is Supernova, the other is Team Fish Taco. 2 orgs that I have seen ever since I've started casting. I mean, legacy orgs in the amateur space, so it's nice for them to get their call up as well. Great stuff to see. But as talked about a little bit earlier in the video that Mazel had, things will be working a little bit different here in LCS Challengers League. As you might have noticed, we do have a sub button now. And look, I'm going to be quite forward right here. I want you to support NA League of Legends. And to get to that, Kangas and I have made a video on how you could do just that.
Hey you! Do you want to support NA League of Legends? Do you want custom emotes to spam in chat? Do you want to wake up and taste freedom? Sub to twitch.tv/LCS_challengers to salute the players and the flag!
Oh, Distarts, wait, what about the Canadian players?
Heck yeah, they're in too! Anyone can!
I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part, and you can too! Sub to twitch.tv/LCS_challengers to salute the players and the flag!
Salutes, men. Get to it. There we go. There we go. We want to make sure that our players are as best off as we can. Our partner Rally Cry is sharing 50% of the revenue from these subs with all of our LCS Challenger squad. So a big one right here. Get the subs going, guys.
Yeah, you got to. You got to. Come on. We got to support our players. I think the fact that we do see our environment changing so much, but there is an avenue forward in being able to support our players and support their journeys forward. There's a reason why we're watching hours and hours of League of Legends a day, and it is because of these players. So,
gotta say as well, you can also sub to twitch.tv/path2LCS, the other channel. We have even more emotes over there. Some of which
gotta get all of them.
Feature our faces. So, you know, if you want to double up, be a super NACL supporter, we actually have 2 places where you can sub. And again, as Mazel mentioned, with some of the changes, a little bit more revenue sharing with our teams. So even if it is not a lot, every cent counts, and we'd love to see the support in the chat.
Yeah, I'm not asking, I'm telling you, sub right now. Let's move on to our matches of the day. Exactly. On to the matches of the day. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going to be playing here on the Challengers League stream. First match will be the Fear versus FlyQuest game, followed up with the Disguised versus Team Liquid Challengers. Evil Geniuses versus Maryville University will have a showdown immediately after. Then we'll have on the Path to LCS stream Wildcard versus AoE. The showdown of amateur legacy orgs in Supernova versus Team Fish Taco. Fun matches, guys. I gotta say, I feel like we have the better of it so far.
don't tell them that.
This stream's loaded. It's loaded today. We've got 3 matches that feature 3 challenger teams, Fear, Toast, and also the collegiate squad, the first one to break the barrier into Tier 2. It's a loaded schedule.
But on to our first match of the day. Again, it is one of 3 challengers teams in the league that we'll be covering today, taking on the squad that sent them home in playoffs last split, just shy of top 4. Cincinnati Fear versus FlyQuest Challengers. Let's start off with a walk down memory lane, as the last time they faced off, it was an absolute slobber knocker, Cubby.
I gotta say, I casted the series with you, Eric, and I was going back through. This was one of the craziest best of 5s I've seen this game. Was a 10k gold comeback from Fear to win game 1. And for the first 4 games, whoever had the gold lead early ended up losing. Like, every team found ways to get back into this series. It was absolutely ballistic. And for Cincinnati Fear, it really capped off what was a crazy run for them. in the last split. They were a provisional team that ended up taking not only top 4 in regular season, but also in the playoffs, as they really cemented themselves as top dogs in the league. And they have a few changes this time around, but they want to go even further in this split.
I think especially you talk to some of the players, you see some of the attitudes coming forward, and there's a lot of positivity coming out of the growth in the offseason, even with some of the negative connotations. And I especially look to the majority members of Fear sticking together and trying to form that bond that continued through last split into this one as well.
And I just got to say, both of these teams having some spectacular marksmen in their pocket. Now let's get on to one of the bigger deals.
The real deal. The real deal.
We got some Desi deals, baby. Now, this wasn't a direct trade. I do want to clarify that. These players just happened to fall on opposite teams. But if I'm looking at FlyQuest, brother, I'd say their stonks just went to the moon. Faisal's Olaf versus the world left it in a post-apocalypse. Philip, he left us kind of wanting more. He's still got a good org to work with. But you know what? Ultimately, I do like what FlyQuest have picked up. Thoughts on the trade, Cubby?
We do have a double revenge game, and when I was talking with Rocco earlier, actually the new head coach for FlyQuest, he said, Faisal's brought a great attitude to the team, but he is also a top laner that is bringing exactly what we need as a team, playstyle-wise, to the top lane. Some of that was definitely self-sufficient on Cincinnati Fear, and I think really excelled in team fights. He's going to fit this FlyQuest roster really well, and of course we have the double revenge game for each of our top laners going up against their old squads.
Oh, it always is so fun, ain't it? I love competition, and I love when you get to have some of these stories, even if they indirectly made it there, they made it there, and now we get to have this 1v1, but specifically Philip, I think I need to see a little bit of cohesion with Perry and the rest of the team.
Is that deal signed by the Grim Reaper?
That deal is signed by the Grim Reaper himself. He does live in Cincinnati. I found that out during the offseason.
He lives in Cincinnati.
I mean, personally, I think
Scary.
he lives in Cleveland.
Get out of there.
I think he lives in Cleveland, not Cincinnati. Just going to throw that out there.
Oh, no.
Let's pull up the roster, starting with FlyQuest Challengers. Again, one of 3 LCS orgs to keep their Challenger squad. And what a team that they've kept, actually. This is Fear coming up first. Excuse me right there. Cincinnati Fear's roster will be the first one on your screen. The core of Fear staying the same. Perry, Shochi, and Minui making their returns. The difference will be in the top and support roles, with Philip and JJ now returning, Mazel.
The big thing, obviously, is JJ. But first, I got to talk about Philip a little bit. I got to see it come up from last, but I think there was a little bit of a quiet stint from Philip in the top side. So especially meeting up with this very active, proactive Fear is going to be very important. But man, JJ meeting back up with Perry. Heard from Perry, he's very excited to play with JJ. They feel like they're on the same wavelength as well. But JJ as a leader and as a whole has been so crucial in the past for Dignitas, and I want to see what he can do here for Fear.
Yeah, when these two players were united last summer at the back half of the split as Perry was a sub, they were finalists with that Dignitas Academy roster. Great to see JJ back. He did say it's going to be his last split playing, as he's going to finish up school at the University of Toronto. But I caught up with Minui before the games, and he said that having JJ, he brings a lot in as a leader. Inside and outside the game has already really helped make their macro cleaner, and has even been able to help with reviews. We know with the experience JJ brings, it's like having a coach on the Rift with you. I think a lot of the time his gameplay was overlooked. He was a big part of Dignitas's run to actually make finals back in that last summer when Neo came down. Him and JJ laned really well, and also he laned well with Spawn too with that promotion. So I think JJ, I really want to see what kind of form he's in, because the last time we saw him, I thought pretty highly of his play.
Now let's pull up FlyQuest Challengers. This time for realsies. Pretty excited about this squad. You got the Mongolian Machine Yuji alongside Spyrax, Winsome, Wi-Fi Wizard Masu. The change we alluded to earlier, Ragnarok Incarnate. Faisal will now be their top laner. I will say, Faisal has had some of the most ridiculous plays. He was a player that you got me hyped on very early, Cubby, and now that hype train continues.
Yeah, I really felt like Faisal was someone that was deserving of a challenger slot last split when there were 10 teams, and it almost feels like he got his due, and man, he earned it, because the numbers that he put up in the last split really sound again. With Cincinnati Fear, this was a provisional squad that were top 4 in the regular season and ended up top 4ing in playoffs. They were legit. Faisal was a big part of that. He didn't get a lot of resources, but Faisal was really able to do a lot on the Rift regardless, as he was a very self-sufficient laner who found his own leads.
We're going to pull up some of those stats for Faisal right now, as I was thoroughly impressed with Faisal throughout the season. I saw some of the most disgusting plays he made when it came to solo kills, bettering some of our more veteran players within the tier 2 space, as well as 1v3s on Olaf Mazel.
Yeah, it's the fact that you can have such a skirmish-heavy top laner, but as well as such strength in the top lane. And actually, over in the LPL, we've seen that if you can have some strength in the solo lane, that lends to a lot of this bot lane play that we've been seeing rise to prominence. And Faisal will unlock that for FlyQuest.
Especially with this bot lane, as Masu and Winsome, again, when they came together, once Winsome stepped into this team, they were 17-5 in the back half of the season. I personally have FlyQuest as a team that I feel like is my favorite, a little bit of hot take, to actually win the split, and excited to see them face off against the team that knocked them out of playoffs and prevented them from finding that top 4 they've been looking for.
But that's the thing, though, when you're going against Cincinnati Fear, you don't really know what to expect. The first time we saw them, we had them a little bit lower on the list, and they ended up booming all the way up to top 4. And even in playoffs, they took best of 5s, not just against FlyQuest, but against Team Liquid Challengers before they finally fell off. So, you know, I'm excited for what the next step of development really does mean for these squads.
I think especially when you see that Perry is just looking to improve on last split, the confidence is there between these guys.
All right, well, gentlemen, it is now time. I'm hearing that draft is ready, so I'm not going to waste any more time sticking around. We got a season to start. Mazel, Cubby, let the summer season commence.
Let's go ahead and kick this thing off then, shall we? We've got FlyQuest Challengers versus Fear. FlyQuest on the blue side. We'll go ahead and ban away that Wukong, the Vi, the Nico. We got Fear banning away the Olaf. There we go, a little bit of a target ban. As well as the Yuumi and the Lucian. We are looking at a patch that can make some interesting amends for some meta decisions, but if Melio's open, you go ahead and grab it.
That's the first pick. A lot of the pairings that we do see with Melio end up being the long-range marksman, but curious to see what Fear actually is able to play into it. As I've seen some Senna lanes have some success. If we want to get a little bit creative, Senna something that can someone match the range of Melio in the later stages of the game. As Fear is going to start off with grabbing that Cassante 1-2. And for the folks at home, we actually are on the live patch 13.11. That doesn't really happen with pro play that often, and I believe we're one of the first regions to be competing on this patch too, so expecting to see some new things, as it's an old thing for Fear. Keep in mind, Seraphine was denied from them pretty much all of last year, and they're going to get their hands on that in the first game of the summer season.
They're like, FlyQuest, there's so much meta, you won't see the hidden picks behind, the comfort picks to come through, and then you get that Seraphine. We want to see this ADC combo probably picked up pretty soon. At least sooner rather than later, and especially something with a little bit of priority for UG. That is always so important for FlyQuest. It is going to be the Aphelios locked in here.
Aphelios did see some small nerfs when it comes to his bonus attack damage on this patch, but still a pick that really hasn't changed in the meta, as Masu, again, for us was the most impressive rookie that we had in the last split, and to see him back, A, is exciting, but B, I want to see what he's able to do this split. If he's able to build off of what he was able to accomplish last split, he honestly is a player that, to me, could really fit the bill of, hey, when do we see him being considered for LCS offers? That's something that, you know, I heard once or twice behind the scenes this offseason, but FlyQuest really did not want to let him go, and I'm really excited to see how he further develops in this split.
That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited for another split of Masu on the grindstone here, but we did get the Gragas locked in for FlyQuest. It will be the Kindred locked in right now for Perry.
So I've seen some Enchantress mids come back, actually, with Kindred jungle. Kindred very strong on this patch. And with that Seraphine, I mean, this is something that can be triple flexed with everything that's going to be showing. But
womp womp.
I do expect for it to go mid, as unfortunately we did get word that
we got to get a remake.
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean,
first day.
I mean, you know what? We're hearing it's playing the client. You know, that's what we can do, right?
True.
It's always on the client. Even TR, you know, get some issues as.
Now, I guess the conversation becomes: are we keeping the entire draft? Or are we going to be some of the stuff?
I think we are. Those first 3 picks made a lot of sense to me.
They did.
I want to see some Kindred too.
That would be sick. We actually see a decent amount of it, at least double marksman compositions over in the LPL. So I'm interested to see if we get an iteration. That aggression can be the name of the game. That's something for Fear that I think has been a keepsake for them. I know last year, last split, they were talking a lot about just being a cohesive team, making decisions all together. And I think that remains to be a lot of the same. And that's where I'm wondering what this kind of iteration with Philip does and if anything changes along those lines. We are going to go to a little break while we do get this draft underway. So don't go anywhere. Maybe hit that sub button while you wait. Hit those emotes in chat, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, everyone. Now, wait. Just before you judge us, we don't have draft yet. We have a little bit of time to kill. We want to set up some stories for both these two teams. We will have draft coming up very soon. We'll be picking up, I believe, where we left off. So we'll get that to you very shortly. But before so, I mean, I think it is interesting between these two teams. Obviously, we talked about their rematch from the top four, which I think is a leaping off point where you have some history between a lot of members of these two rosters.
I know that for FlyQuest too, like they've been so close to breaking that top four a few times. That does matter because in the past, top four, that was when you were able to go play actually on the LCS stage. And of course, that is a big goal for a lot of our Academy and now Challengers players. So I know that loss to Fear did hurt. It was a very close best of 5, but to see them honestly go toe-to-toe with the double revenge top laner match, it is kind of a fun way to kick off the season where,
it is.
Of course, with the changes being made too, something I really like, it's a double round robin, so teams will have the opportunity to rematch people later in the season. I think that's a great tool for learning as well, if you can use that really well as a coach. So I think it's one of the positive changes too. So we will get 2 matches between these two teams between the season.
If you wonder why I busted out giggly, is because I saw our emote in the game bot section down there, and I just couldn't. It's so adorable. But I think when you look at these iteration of these two teams, and now that we're going to be getting into draft, we'll see the iteration of draft they have for game number 1. It's still that top lane that is so peculiar to me, because there's a part of me that's like, okay, Philip's going to play tanks. There's a part of me that's like, no, we have the Cassante now. And how does he play into Faisal? He wants to take a very aggressive matchup that can be a dominant late game threat. And I'm interested now that we have the actual lock-in of the 3rd pick for Fear. It is the Syndra. How this kind of draft or maybe things go through? Oh, it's resetting.
Yeah.
It's resetting.
This is the client bug. Yeah, we got to reset everything. Okay. Yeah, we have no Nico this game too. We don't have to talk about that yet.
Hey, it gets locked in.
So we're gonna repeat some of these champs real quick. Something I actually do want to hit on real quick. FlyQuest Challengers, actually another change they had, a new head coach this split. It's going to be Rocco coming out. Now, he used to help out with SK in the Prime League over in ERLs. He was helping out with FlyQuest this past split. Good to see him kind of get that bump. He said, I was helping out with the team, and he's really excited to actually step into that head coaching role. He was the head coach for SK Gaming's Academy team, so it kind of feels like he's picking up where he left off, and definitely something he's excited about to work with this roster that does have a lot of high expectations.
Well, we have to set those expectations now. We're going to be getting into game 1 very soon. We're in the 2nd phase of bans now after that Kindred got locked in. So that is still the case. That is still the pick for Perry. It is Jace, Yasuo locked away by Fear, and the Nautilus and the Karma by FlyQuest on the blue side. We get that Senna, and it's looking like we're back to basics for Fear. We get the Seraphine Senna bot lane. It is the lock-in of the Kazakhs, though, for Yuji and the Annie.
I did say, right, Senna is one of the answers to Melio in the collegiate finals. We actually saw Karthus getting banned to prompt a Melio ban, as now we're going to get draft wrapped up.
Shochi's bread and butter.
Yeah, will be that Syndra into the Annie mid. So taking a look at things, Fear have a lot of range between the Syndra, the Seraphine, and the Senna, and a couple things that actually can help empower that Kindred. For me, with FlyQuest, they're going to be the ones that have clean engages. This Annie-Gragas combo has to be good. Also, the ability for Annie to skirmish with Kazakhs. A lot of Kazakhs' strength comes in the 2v2s and the 3v3s. Not so much the 5v5s, where his W is really the one thing that's useful to kind of slow down the fights. I want to see if FlyQuest can utilize that priority to make plays with Yuji's Kazakhs and get things going early, because I love the scaling that Fear has.
Yeah, it's about decisiveness for FlyQuest. And on the other side, is this a moment where this is the first kind of ego check of the season, right? This was tried and true bans against Fear all of last split. And I think that we get to see this first iteration. Is this a scary thing? Is this something you're going to have to continuously ban against Fear into this season? I guess that remains the question here, because I think they have a lot of eggs in the later game scaling basket, but they still have that proactivity between mid and between parry as well, with the combo of Shochi parry.
It's something that was really good for Fear in the last split. I think Shochi kind of went under the radar as someone that just did their job. And honestly, this is a split where Fear, they have higher expectations coming in. And even talking with Manui, he's like, hey, with JJ coming in, given what we accomplished last split, they feel good about Philip too. They're like, we want a top 2. This is a team where it's not like they're going up against 10 challenger squads anymore. It's 3 challenger squads, and they top 4'd against those 10 last split. So I love the fact that Fear feel like they have some expectations for themselves, because they really proved everyone wrong last split. It's going to be great to see if they can continue that story in this split. A few changes, but the same core remaining.
And just love the fact that JJ is playing Senna in his first game with Fear. He's truly bought into the Cincinnati Fear mantra here as the combo comes alive. But as you were kind of talking about on the other side of things, for FlyQuest, I think some decisiveness is definitely in need. But I also love that they're putting a lot of their resources into Masu on this Aphelios and trying to get this man ahead. He was such an integral part to a lot of the bright moments for FlyQuest last split. We'll see if that comes alive here as we get the kick off day number 1 of the NACL summer split. It's FlyQuest Challengers versus Fear. As we head on the Rift, it is all eyes on Yuji, all eyes on Perry, and specifically all eyes on this Faisal versus Philip matchup in the top side. Who's going to have the bad blood and who's going to get the better of it, Cubby?
It's the double revenge game, you know? If anyone that's a fan of football knows about the revenge game, is, hey, might be a revenge game, but at least they're having a little bit of fun with it, you know? Getting some belly dances in. Love that from Faisal as Gragas. A champion that, you know, Faisal highlighted himself, hey, this is a favorite of mine. And even going back to his time with Evil Genius's Prodigies, that's where I really felt like Faisal stood out to me. In a split where Sniper was playing and everyone was hyped about the 15-year-old prospect, I felt like Faisal team fought really well on a lot of these picks, Gragas being one of them. Excited to see what he can do in this game, because you're going to have to be good with these ults going up against the range that Fear has. And also, Lamb's Respite, Gragas Cask has a lot of power to get people off of that and try and find some kills.
Again, it just all seemingly goes back to decisiveness for FlyQuest Challengers, if they can find those little minute moments. A good early ward there by Shochi and by Fear to get a little bit of vision, but we will have both topside starts for the junglers.
And it does look like Perry's actually going to take the Raptors and then do the red. I didn't actually quite see, which I think he's just starting the red buff. I was going to say Raptor start for Kendra. That would be awkward. As we're getting warmed up here too from this offseason.
Knocking the rust off.
Yeah, we'll be top to bot starts for our junglers as all focus on the bot lane, and a lane that I really feel like very important here for FlyQuest to do well in, as Seraphine Senna, this scaling is through the roof. So any bowling that they can get down early, it's going to be really nice.
That's where I'm really pondering how Masu and Winsome get something going down here. Emilio, obviously, you have a lot of sustainability, you have a lot of range addition to Masu, to the Aphelios, but you will need a little bit of jungle intervention here. I feel like if you're really going to find those 2v2s, unless Manui and JJ step up a little bit too far, which I don't expect, right? This is a very safe combo for them. So I'm really, really looking at how quickly Yuji can get down here, and we're already seeing that some vision being played through, some pings coming out from Fear, knowing that there is going to be this focus.
And you can see Yuji on the Kha'Zix skipping over a couple of those AoE camps. This Kha'Zix does do the single target camp so quickly. You get that red buff a little bit early. And the parry is going to be full clear. Is pretty boring. Which, again, I do feel like somewhat favors Fear. I think that for Fear, what I'm really curious to see, it's how they actually play the Herald swap. I know I was looking ahead a little bit, but Manui does have that teleport advantage. So Fear with the 3 TPs, going for a 5-stack around Herald, if you're able to stack up those ultimates with the Seraphine, can just lead to, honestly, GG moments. Something that FlyQuest, or Fear, I should say, did do so well in the last split, as, again, Seraphine was one of the most banned champions against them, being banned in 50% of their games that they played last split, a ban that no one else was drawing in the league.
And it just plays to their instinctual methods, right? Like the way they want to play together. 5-stack it, make the decision together. Also, Perry winning the RNG on the the mark here. Will go mid onto Spyrax, who going to be floating towards his jungle up here. But the Scout of the Week actually connected, and a flash from Spyrax early, followed by Perry. And here comes Yuji. A 2v2 will ensue. Stun not anywhere close for Spyrax, and FlyQuest should back away.
Yeah, that red buff for Perry timed out. Didn't allow for them to chase down Spyrax. Had unfortunate, but Spyrax able to live as Flash is burned. Mid for jungle on the side of Fear. And as long as Perry is able to continue to power clear, we have seen Kindred get really strong in some of these games over in your region, the LPL, Mazel. We're actually seeing Kindred get played around the world if you're able to get those 4 stacks. And with some of the itemization changes, Stormrazor, of course, can feel very good on Kindred. As we are on 13-11, those AD items quite different.
It definitely feels really good if you can get ahead, but there is another person who feels really good when they're ahead. It's the Kazakhs on the other side, and some execution damage will feel really, really nice. Now, another question is, I have seen a lot of prevalence in the previous patch on Dragon objectives early on if you're trying to snowball the game. And while I do expect that a little bit more of a priority for FlyQuest, I'm wondering if Fear, with a little bit of that priority from mid, can affect that at all.
It's something where, like, this is a matchup. Oh, hold on. We're gonna have to pause. You gotta be aggressive onto Syndra if you want to beat her. As Perry doesn't see.
There we go. Shochi in a little bit of trouble here. Does get the stun down from Spyrax. Looking for first blood, but can't find the damage just yet.
See if that's enough to actually start up the dragon, as Kazakhs does rip through that dragon with the claws. It is only level 4. He would need 1 more camp for 5. It will slow things down a little bit as JJ is going to check, but Shochi does not have access to TP, so
I like this.
Priority going to be all that FlyQuest needs, and a really nice gank from Yuji to make sure that this first neutral goes their way.
Yeah, just using a little bit of that step-off momentum. Go to this dragon, get this early on, because again, they want some of this stacking buff, at least to some extent, for them before Fear really come online.
I do want to credit Shochi for holding on the Flash, though, because if you lose Flash against Annie Kazakhs, that is so deadly, as again, the power of Kazakhs, it comes in these skirmishes. So mid-jungle duo going to be very important here for FlyQuest, just to make sure that they are capitalizing off the power of Annie. If not, of course, Syndra, much like the rest of Fear, scales very nicely. So Fly, I think hitting their win cons, taking that first dragon, and I want to see what happens with this first Herald, as again, they're going to be down, would have been down a TP advantage, but Manui did burn that to get back to lane, so that actually opens up things for FlyQuest to rotate up top and try and take this rift, as stacking up those early objectives are going to be what this team needs if they want to find the victory.
I actually really appreciate the stance from Masu and Winsome down there in the bottom side, just trying to play as aggressive as they can. They actually got a nice little combo off there, but Fear will renew priority down there. We will get the back actually coming through from Perry, try to get that reset off. Will actually get the axe, so a little bit of damage there, but a little bit of movement. And especially now getting back onto the rift, looking for those next steps. I know you were talking about the rift herald here, but for me personally, when you're looking at Perry, you're looking for those next marks. And while the next one, it hasn't spawned just yet, but you need to still be proactive, even though Yuji is searching for those kills.
That will be the topside camp grab for Perry. I like the fact you highlight that, because it actually looks like Perry will be going for the Trinity Force iteration of Kindred. So a little bit more focus on the health and elongated fights, which honestly with the Sen of Seraphine does make sense, Mazel. So once that Trinity Force is finished, Perry will be very strong in this game. But finding those marks, of course, need to hit that level 4 to get that big power spike on the Kindred. Not quite there.
Force something in mid lane, though. I appreciate that, as won't find anything. Spyrax will be able to clear that one out. Now they're actually pushing forward. Spyrax maybe overextending a little bit. Yuji's coming over here, though, to try to help out as well. Gonna jump on a Perry, do a ton of damage. Now Perry's in some trouble. Gets the Lambs Spike, though, trying to kill Spyrax. Gets some damage on Yuji as well. Who's gonna die to first blood? It's gonna be Perry that goes down to Yuji first. It's traded back, though. It's so close. Timbers is very angry, but he gets stopped at the last moment. Here comes Faisal with the flash from Shochi.
Oh, flash for flash trade. Faisal not able to find his old teammate, but the 2v2 goes even. A kill goes on to Kazakhs, traded for Syndra. Honestly, that's okay for Fear, as they delayed that Herald timer. And now that the resets come out, that is going to be Annie down Tibbers, that is an opportunity for Fear to maybe try and sneak away this Rift Herald. They are able to get back here in time, as those ults so important for FlyQuest to find the snap engages. Wondering, let's see where the bot lane of Fear goes here on the reset. If they actually walk mid, I would favor Fear at the Herald fight, but no, Manui looks like he's going to walk bot, as Masu actually going to shift his way up towards Herald, so you can see more numbers being committed here by FlyQuest.
Also, the fact that Shochi completed his Ludens at like 8:30 here, that's kind of incredible. We did get the Umbral Glaive completed from Yuji, who will take the scuttle into the Rift Herald here. We'll see if Fear wants to contest.
And it does look like Yuji went for the Claws Evolve, so of course leaning on that lethality damage and even more of an emphasis on those skirmishes. Kha'Zix does melt through neutral objectives with the Claws Evolve, so that's going to be enough to make sure that this goes the way of Herald. And meanwhile, it does look like Masu kind of got stuck in no man's land, but not going to miss too much on the bot side, so everything's okay here.
Spyrax able to tank up a decent amount there. Luckily, Emilio's right behind him. Winsome being the saving grace right now, but an engage potentially there for Fear. JJ should just go back to the bottom lane and go back to what we had before, except now with a Rift Herald in the pocket of Yuji.
I still think things are okay here for the side of Fear, as it's not a really significant lead for FlyQuest. We're going to get a second look at this. Of course, Perry, it's a little bit stuck here. Tibbers doing a lot of damage on the members of Fear, as there's the stack. Perry not quite able to take down Spyrax outside of the Nam's Respite, as that stun does help Spyrax. We just help Yuji pick up that first kill.
Close.
It's just the 2-for-2. And the Bear, not quite enough gas in the tank, as Faisal ended up trading Flash for Flash. I will say that is a trade up, though. And that's something I want to see FlyQuest punish now, as Spyrax has Flash, Shochi does not. The 2v2 skirmish is still where I really feel like FlyQuest have the advantage. They have a window to make a play.
We get the window for Perry here to pick up another mark. This will be the second mark of the game for Perry. He scoops it up right in time. We'll actually play the aggressive stance here and go for a little bit more as well, while Yuji's on the other side looking for the aggressive invade into the enemy jungle there to get a little bit of warding down as well. Dragon is up now, and FlyQuest definitely putting priority on that.
No, this is a really nice
priority on mid lane, and perfect timing out of Shochi. Yuji picked up his second kill of the game.
I think Shochi was trying to base, and they were going to give FlyQuest this dragon, because Fear, they realized that they didn't have Flash mid, and FlyQuest did. So Shochi goes down. That's a freebie for Yuji and friends, as they're going to turn that into the dragon. Fear, they were trying to seed it. Didn't quite get that wave in time, so really nice punish here from FlyQuest, as, again, they have to continue to take advantage of the skirmishing power of this mid-jungle duo to make sure this early game goes their way.
Really, really good proactive play again. We had highlighted decisiveness is key for FlyQuest Challengers. They've done just that. Now we're starting to get Yuji unlocked on the map. We'll need to be using this Rift Herald very, very shortly, but getting back on the map and continuing to be proactive is the case. And now, getting close to this level 11, I'm sure we'll see a little bit more of this mobility out of the lanes here as well.
I am somewhat curious that Gragas did go for the tank build. I know that he's the only tank, but when I'm going up against the Seraphine Senna combo, I really want to try and burst people down. I think the Faisal, I mean, he's on his own, right? So he's just going to do his job up here with the Gragas, but that is some of the burst damage being taken away. Also, as we're going to see something we've been seeing a little bit more of in other regions, which is actually going to be the Rocket Belt onto Annie.
That's a very strong bug. A big encore, though. We'll get the cleanse out of Masu, who's trying to follow up the damage there. Luckily for Fear, in a lot of these situations, they just have enough heal back to get themselves out.
There's TP available for Manui if he wants to try and save that bot turret. Could go down there, but would be on his own. Philip has it as well, as Manui actually going to seed, and he's going to walk back. So a lot of plates going over to Masu on red-white, and
holy cow,
to the side of FlyQuest to get their marksman ahead.
And the marksman that should get ahead if you're looking to win. Faisal in the mid lane, figuring that mobility out of top side. Won't actually find what he was looking for mid lane, but I want to go back to that bot lane, because the fact that Masu is getting so much gold value and still attention from Yuji, they're working this combo beautifully, right? Yuji is the bridge for Masu, and he's still waiting in the wings here, Cubby.
You can see the power that Masu packs when he does have that W on him. from the Milio. Again, a new champion as Masu wins some, picking up right where they left off in the last season. Maybe 5 plates. First brick going over to Masu. Exactly what the doctor ordered for FlyQuest. Very important to have that upfront damage and their marksman ahead if they want to break the comp that Fear is packing.
And it's been incredible to watch Masu's journey at this point, right? Like, I think the fact that we've seen him go from the Wi-Fi warrior, if anybody doesn't know, he was playing on like 150 ping on Wi-Fi for the longest time, but he was finally able to join the team in LA last split, and we saw a noticeable increase in just the pure mechanical skill we saw him, because we got to see a little bit of that, but it was just ping diff, it felt like, and now we've really seen him unlocked in terms of just the confidence on the map as well.
I mean, the biggest praise I can give to Masu is the fact that Unforgiven praised him, right? I feel like that just really says everything you need to know about Masu's first split, as he does have that Storm Razor. And I think important to note, as we are approaching this dragon, I still don't feel like Fear has the strength to fight this at the moment. But I really want to see what Perry's able to do, as he does have access to that Trinity Force and the 4th mark on the Kindred. So Kindred going to be much stronger as that crab, but
I need to pop that Lambs of Spite here pretty soon. The Calibrum connects with another shot. Health will be very, very low, but FlyQuest with a lot of aggression will be pushing out this mid lane now. And Dragon spawning about 1 minute and 20 seconds, and Fear might need to find an answer at this point, but they could also wait another Dragon spawn.
Would have loved to have seen Spyrax on that wave actually come down and try and contest these Raptors. I know that the goal here is Dragon for each of these teams, but Perry's so low, he's going to be forced to recall before this Dragon 1 minute before. They could have pressured him while he was chunked out and Spyrax had moved, but instead, actually have a preemptive TP here from Shochi 1 minute before the Dragon to try and push for this wave. It will sack the top side as Fear. We
got the true Fear comp now, Cubby. We've aligned. Also, the fact that we got JJ and Perry on the same screen walking around together is just kind of cool too.
Yeah, it was interesting to see them actually take that turn. They burned the TP to get topside vision, and the play here is going to be Dragon in 30 seconds. Is its sole point available for the side of FlyQuest? Again, I don't know if Fear is strong enough to even contest this, but burning that early
I think you either wait the 5 extra minutes or you fight now. I feel like the 5 extra minutes might help your comp a little bit better, but
I mean, look at the items right now for Yuji. He is so fed with that Dusk Blade already ready. And, okay, Perry.
Ooh. All together, though, and they are strong. Fear find a pick out on a Winsome. And now, a little bit of evened odds means Fear will pick up their first Dragon.
I think the difference maker was the fact that Spyrax never burned that TP to join. Again, I think if Spyrax, if he bases and joins, this is a winning fight at the moment for FlyQuest. But Spyrax was top lane, Winsome way too far up as Perry's able to find him. That's Dragon going over to Fear. We're talking about 5 minutes to wait for their comp to come online. Giving the Dragon, how about taking it instead, Mazel, as Fear by themselves even more time in this game.
Perry leading the charge in that one is exactly what you want to see, especially with this Kindred pick, but let alone the way that Fear have been so strong in the past. We do have a Rift Herald being traded over to FlyQuest, though, in this case, and they were pretty efficient with the first one. We'll see what they can do with the second one, probably knock open this mid lane.
Things are still okay for the side of FlyQuest. Just a little bit surprised at how that last set of plays ended up being played out. As again, if Spyrax joined, he's on Proto Belt. Like this is where Annie, it's like a truck right now. Mazel Proto Belt, of course, does give that pen. So your ability to jump forward and just have Tibbers melt a team. I feel like that was the spike that FlyQuest really wanted to use, but Spyrax got stuck top, never able to join. And again, the game goes late. FlyQuest could really deal with the consequences of that later.
They got a little catch out here. The Dawning Shadow comes in as well as the Lambs Respite. Yuji going to utilize that, though. Caught out with that all out, though, and a shutdown goes over to Phillip. Getting a little bit of revenge on his previous teammate, and Yuji squashing that bug.
And you can see what happens for FlyQuest. They aren't able to burst people down as between the Lambs Respite, the Seraphine, the Senna, Perry able to get out of there. Phillip yoinked the bug out of the Lambs Respite, so they got a kill. Things keep on going Fear's way here. Is this game state getting a lot better for them, Mazel?
A little bit of tradesies on the top side. Tower will not go down, but a collapsing Fear might turned down onto Spyrax. Perry's waiting over the wall here. JJ gonna spot out with a little bit of vision, but here comes Spyrax's death as Perry will tank that one out. Flash comes through, but it's not enough. And Shochi with the thumbs up gets a kill for Fear.
And the thumbs up is for the flash that was guessed by Shochi as Fear continues to get back in this game, Zell. FlyQuest, I feel like really not playing towards their win con. Like they were playing the early game so well, but ever since Annie has left the lane, that combo that we saw FlyQuest get that initial lead on was the Annie plus the Kha'Zix. That has been split across the map, and Fear has been taking full advantage of that.
And now that we're getting to the state in the game, we're going to have a lot more influence from Philip and from Faisal. And we're seeing that gold grab. Thank you to production, by the way. Woo, got the new tech. And we got the awesome gold grab here with a little bit of a dip going on for FlyQuest Challengers. And this is starting to get a little bit scary because we said it from the beginning. Fear want to 5v5 you. They want to get to a late game state, and they bought themselves a lot of time so far.
This game, honestly, from here on out, is pretty interesting, and I think the wait on Masu continues, Mazel, as, yeah, he's going to get outranged by the Seraphine Senna, even with the Emilio, but a nice move there.
He's still got them legs, man. He can still move. He can still break your ankles. That's what what made this man pop on everybody's screen so heavily last split is he just has those mechanics. He is him.
Well, here we go.
He is Himothy. He's moving forward, though. He's in a little bit of trouble. Dawning Shadow helps secure the kill with Shochi, and Shochi's on a killing spree now. Perry's looking for Faisal, but needs to be a little bit more careful. They're going to try to crash this wave here, but it's only 2 minions moving forward. Spyrax gets knocked back by the Scout of the Week. Moonlight Vigil comes out, but it's Spyrax who bites the dust, and Perry with another kill. Fear are just moving like a unit.
And this 5-pick from Shochi, I mean, that scatter was honestly fight winning there on the Syndra as Annie wasn't able to get down Tibber. Spyrax falls again, and Fear have just got this game completely back in their favor off the back of the range they possess with the Seraphine, Senna, Syndra combo, and Sochi playing really well this game, as that's going to be a Baron for Cincinnati Fear, and the game is really in their hands.
It truly is, and feels like it was all part of their plan, as they've literally gone from last split, this kind of style, this kind of look, executing it so well, making that top 4, to coming in here, switching a couple of things around, and still having that vision, still having that goal. It's working so well. Again, I'm calling it a little early, but you know, maybe some respect bans towards these kinds of comps towards Fear later on this split. I think we just had to get through one game of the split to find out. But here, Shochi makes the preemptive dive, but JJ has gone down on the back to Yuji. Faisal is here as well. You got a decent amount of healing as the Lamb's Respite had already been used. Going forward, though, is Fear, and get another catch out. A bit of a 4v4, but Masu is gone, a main contributor for FlyQuest.
I mean, it's day 1, game 1 of the split, and look at the confidence that Shochi is playing with to flash into Masu, who has no sums, also Winsome, that ultimate not quite up. Shochi knew that he was going to be able to get that kill if he connected with the EQ. Love to see the forward aggression even on day 1, and Fear have come out of the gates roaring.
The man is 5-1 on his Syndra, something they waited to grab as well, and something that's really starting to pop off with this style of composition. And now that you're getting to this later point, now that you've gotten 2 Ocean Dragons under your belt and are starting to stack up your own neutral objectives, they will continue to hit these outer towers and pressure the mid lane. And look at this, Dawning Shadow snipes out Spyrax. Big Inferno Moonlight Vigil, though. It's enough to even the odds here if Yuji can get the executions, but they have so much healing, they have so much shielding, and they can't do it! Onto the back line, but it's not enough. One more Yuji! He can't get him! A double kill goes to FlyQuest, but everything has gone away from them as Fear have wiped the board almost. Philip can't get the fadeaway shot, but he'll get this tower, and Fear with a 2,000 gold lead now.
And again, Spyrax Tibbers wasn't available. And it feels like if they aren't able to find the engages, the peel between the Seraphine, the Senna, and the Syndra, FlyQuest just keep on ramming their heads into a brick wall. As even here, I mean, they got a bit lucky. Harry gets one shot with no Lamb's Respite, trying to execute Spyrax. He's able to find it. Masu hits a huge Infernum ultimate here that gets Fear so low, but look at the peeling, as that's another double scatter from Shochi. A beautiful W from JJ to find the root. They space out Masu with some dies to creep.
With some dies to minions, no!
And then we have another burn here on Yuji as JJ able to find him with the Fear. This combo of 3, when you are not able to find the executes with the Annie kicking things off, you can see how easy the fights get for Fear with all the durability they have packed into these kits and the range.
Look at that gold graph. A complete swap-aroo as Fear are definitively in the lead. We have seen a little bit of fight back now from FlyQuest. Masu is coming online. He's on those 2 items, looking for a third. That's where you really start to unleash the beast here, but we did get a third item for Yuji. That Serpent's Fang gonna help them with all this shielding.
Honestly, kind of necessary at this point from Yuji, and easy to apply with the W as well. So see if that is going to be enough to push things over the edge. But Fear, and they've picked up 2 dragons. They now have a 3k gold lead. They have a comp that scales to infinity with Seraphine plus Senna as Masu's only thing.
Oh, Yuji's caught. Yuji's just dead. Perry gets the shutdown. Masu's got a lot of chakrams, but he's got to be careful. Yeah, you got to be on the right side here. They maybe took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. You see how much damage you can get off with the Calibrum here, but it's just to push up the gut here by Fear with the tier 2 tower falling.
Masu lost the stacks. He's going to have to reset them. Little Australian game.
They're just pushing the inhib tower. Oh, the big knockback, but Spyrax isn't enough. Nice double kill from Faisal, the new top laner from FlyQuest. We got Calibrum for Masu. Does he have the damage with the chakrams? Masu has the mechanics. We had a triple kill for Faisal, and now a cleanup for FlyQuest Challengers as they step up to the plate and smack down Fear.
I hate to be like, hey, I might have been right, but guess what happened? Annie started the fight. Faisal was able to capitalize, and that's the upfront damage that FlyQuest were looking for as they blew up the squishies, took away the range and durability for Fear with a nice engage from Spyrax. He might have sacked himself for that fight, but that's what was necessary for FlyQuest to pick that up, and Masu and Faisal able to capitalize.
Really huge influence from Faisal here as well, but we'll see how the fight started off and a lot of the good positioning in a bad situation that FlyQuest were able to do.
And that's the combo that has been necessary for the side of FlyQuest this entire time, as Faisal, the Bomba set up from the Tibbers was beautiful as they pick up 2, and then Masu with all that damage off the table, he just has to space Shochi with Masu does wonderfully with the back half, that flash to get away from the scatter, save his own life. Masu showing up here in the back half as needed for his team. And, oh, hold on, Perry.
He's going for it. Perry needs to be a little bit careful. Has everybody next to him here, though. Yuji gets the solo bolo. He's looking for more, too, as Manui goes gold, and Faisal is here. The front line has arrived, as Philip also out here. We did get the save from Manui. That's always going to happen with this composition. You got to inscribe to the double tap theory.
Aaron's up though. Yuji's low, but he can burn this. We have a TP coming in to try and melt this down as Spyrax going to stack up the stun and play for the flank with the Tibbers.
He's waiting for it, stacking that one up there, already burning it down. It burns so fast. Fear, you got to get in there and respond. Decisiveness from FlyQuest is what we asked for, and decisiveness is what we get. JJ not going to go down, not double tapped here. The zombie still lives. We got on the backside, Masu's fighting a storm right now. They take down Philip, and the Baron goes over to FlyQuest.
We'll credit Philip. That trade was good. Getting Baron off of Masu, that does matter a bit. And with the Ocean Dragon spawning, Fear might be able to take this real quick before FlyQuest can get back on the map. But they had Baron empowered recalls. We're starting game 1 where we left off with this team's best of 5 from spring. That series banged. Whoever had a gold lead early ended up losing in that series as it went to 5. And it's looking like it's right back where we started, Mazel, as this one, I think we're going late.
We have 3 items now on Masu acquired. That's a big spike for them, but that's also 3 dragons in a row for Fear. They are stacking up the region, and they will be a terrifying monster in these team fights coming up. We also got that 3rd item completed for Shochi, so some big breaking points here and a lot of vision needed to play around in these decisive moments. It
kind of feels like it's been a little bit of a live by the Kazakhs, die by the Kazakhs. It's that
Isn't that always how it goes with Kha'Zix, though?
I mean, maybe it's just because
Maybe bugs in general.
Maybe it's just because I've been queuing up with Rafa, and that's every game for him. It's just like, full tilt for better or worse. But I gotta say, Yuji, that find was massive. A lot of sins forgiven with that one. I still think it's very important that FlyQuest continue to find these skirmishes with the Annie plus the Kha'Zix, the upfront damage. If you're able to catch anyone out with the stun, you can pop someone like a balloon, as it will be tough to do with the Siege, but still FlyQuest with Baron looking to take down the rest of these inners at least.
Masu stepping forward, the red, white, he's looking to fight, but Fear are just trying to play it safe right now. They lose that tier 2, but they're just trying to defend as much as possible. FlyQuest, with another minute on this Baron buff, have a lot of work to do and a lot of open base to break open.
I do think that Masu, I don't want to see red-white from him this game. I actually think that blue is going to be really important just to get the burst, as long as Gravitum. I know that he will get outranged, but that you can also cheat with a green gun, kind of leaving that in there. So I think green, white, green, blue going to be the setups that Masu is looking for. You see him trying to burn through that Severum. Meanwhile, FlySaw.
Yuji is waiting it out. Oh, Shochi has got the knockback on Masu. He had plans not going to use Spyrax over the wall. Spyrax makes the decision for Shochi, and Masu spikes him down. Faisal on the side, though, all by himself. Fear are capitalizing on that. Nice little cast, though, and he's surviving so long. FlyQuest are pushing down the pace. They did finally get Faisal, but they might just lose their Nexus.
How much? And it's at least going to be 2 turrets gone. Can Fear get back? No, they aren't basing. Here we go. They have to fight.
Gotta get back. This is a commit. Commit to the bit like you commit to the NACL. Can they fight this one off? FlyQuest, they're doing it. They wipe the floor with Fear, and they come out with the first game win of NACL Summer Split.
What an utterly ridiculous game from both sides, as I thought that Fear would have the scaling, but once Spyrax grouped with the team, his finds with the Annie was not a good start to the game, but he was the one that dictated the engages in the back half. That's what was necessary for FlyQuest to get back in. That's what opened up the space for Masu to do work in those fights, and FlyQuest able to climb and claw their way back into that one and take that map 1 for themselves.
Are you not entertained? Game 1. That was one game of NACL. Sub away, use those emotes. We're going to take a break. We're going to have a halftime bit after this. My goodness.